Thanks for joining us for another 5-minute murder. Sorry it's a day late. I just got back in from vacation, which was very nice. I excuse me, spent some time in Ocean City, Maryland, right after we got done with Gen Con, which was up in Indianapolis. Incredible show. Got to really talk to a bunch of people and really introduce them to the game. Got to play it there. It was seemed to be pretty popular, so always good. If you haven't already, make sure that you go and check the Kickstarter. I'll put a link to it in the bio here on YouTube. That way you guys can go there and check it out. We're like $220 away from being fully funded, so make sure that you go and back that because it will not charge you until the end of this month. So you don't have to worry about it if you need to wait a couple paychecks or something to be able to fulfill it. You can order it now and then not fulfill it until August 31st. So nice and easy. We try to make it as easy as possible. While I was at Gen Con, I injured my foot, so I've been pretty gimpy the last week. But I got to hang out and dip my feet in the Atlantic Ocean and hang out on the boardwalk in Ocean City, and so all was right with the world. I'm now back at it and back at the grind, so ready to rock and roll. So we're going to pick a card. We're going to go from there. So today we have Leonard Lake, one half of a duo. So Leonard Lake and Charles Ng were together and did a bunch of killings. I'm going to read the back of this here. So Leonard Lake was born on October 29th, 1945, died on June 6, 1985. He was an American serial killer. During the mid-1980s, he and accomplice Charles Ng raped, tortured, and murdered an estimated 11 to 25 victims at a remote cabin in Calaveras County, California, in the Sierra Nevada foothills. After his arrest in 1985 on illegal weapons, auto theft, and fraud charges, Lake swallowed cyanide pills that he had sewn into his clothing and died 4 days later. Human remains, videotapes, and journals found at the cabin later confirmed Ng's involvement and were used to convict Ng on 11 counts of capital murder. So really interesting story. Leonard Lake was very much, when we all think of those kind of soldier of fortune kind of guys, that was Leonard Lake. He was really into all the military stuff. Very like militant kind of guy. And so Leonard Lake ended up putting an ad in Soldier of Fortune magazine, and responding to that were several people. There were a few people that responded to it, but Charles Ng ended up being the final one that responded to his ad, and they ended up getting together and committing horrific crimes. The two of them would go out there and they would abduct people, whole families, and torture them, rape them, and kill them, all in that little cabin. And so what's amazing about that is they videotaped all of it. And so there was lots and lots of evidence to convict the two of them. And it seems like neither one of them were like the main initiators. They both initiated, right? They were both very sadistic. They really fed off one another. They believed that they were doing like their work. And it's just such a crazy story. And then the fact that, Charles Ng is still in prison. He's still alive. But Leonard Lake going to the last possible degree, being the, I guess like, for lack of a better term, like secret agent kind of guy he was, he would not be captured. He would not be imprisoned. He would rather kill himself with the cyanide pills that he had than be taken and spend the rest of his life in jail. So just crazy. This guy was not going to be interrogated, nothing. They were going to get no information from him. And so, living his life as someone who felt very, militant and very much into all of those things, who walks around with cyanide pills sewn into their clothing. Who is prepared for that kind of interrogation, that they would rather kill themselves than that? Well, obviously this guy who was going around murdering other people. It is believed, suspected that they killed over 25 people. Charles Ng gets convicted of 11, but there are videotapes and stuff, and there are people that they actually released, right? So there is evidence and people that eventually talked about the torture that they suffered between these two individuals. And it's just probably one of the worst stories that you can look at. It's not one that we talk about a lot. There's not a whole bunch of documentaries and stuff about it, but go and look it up. Leonard Lake and Charles Ng. It is unbelievable what they did. There's only two others that really were difficult for me to look at and to review. One of them was the Toolbox Killers. I can't think of their name right now. Goodness. Bittaker and Norris, right? Lawrence Bittaker and Roy Norris. That story is another story of two guys that, killed and tortured people, women specifically. And then the Toy Box Killer, who was David Parker Ray, who was never convicted, but him and his girlfriend would go around abducting women and torturing them and presumably killing them. It's interesting because we don't often talk about the killers that paired up, right? And there are a lot of them. Ian Brady and Myra Hindley were that way. And then you have Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka up in Canada that were, together. You have the Sunset Strip Killers. There are several that paired up and would go and kill. And often we only talk about the serial killers, the solitary serial killers. But this is a case of somebody finding that perfect person for them and going out there and fulfilling what they felt was their destiny and what was their mission in life. So yeah, check it out. Leonard Lake, Charles Ng, out there killing, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Leonard Lake being the one that committed suicide and the one that really started everything. He's the one that recruited Charles Ng, and then the two of them got together. And it's really, really creepy when you watch some of the videos to watch Charles Ng get really, really giddy around the torture and the rape and the killing. And he has this very distinct laugh. It is eerie. So check that out. I'm going to show you something else real quick. I just got these yesterday when I got home. These are the brand new Manson Helter Skelter shoes. You can check those out on my Etsy, and you can pick those up. Yeah, I just got my pair in. Super excited to wear these when the swelling goes down on my foot, and I can actually wear a shoe again. Can't wait for those days. But yeah, brand new, the Helter Skelter shoes. I know a lot of you were asking to check them out, and you get to see them here first. All right, thank you guys for joining us for another 5-Minute Murder. I will talk to you soon. Nine. Killers, the card game, the best-selling true crime card game of all time, brings you its newest expansion, Mass Murderers. Just like the CIA hiring the Mafia to assassinate Fidel Castro in the 60s, in the Mass Murderers expansion, you get to take your stable of killers and kill the mass murderers before they kill everyone else. Face off between your killers and the mass murderers, only with Killers the Card Game. For 2 to 10 players, may contain sensitive material that may offend some people.
Without me, I said